Hello and you're welcome back here to Canning Farms, and in today's video we're going to be starting to tackle an issue that I'm having here on the farm, and that is soil fertility. So I was talking to Kevin there over the Christmas from Lambert's, Kevin Lambert, and he's arrived here, Kevin, with a tool that is going to help me on my way. So can you explain what this is?
Yeah, so this is the WALCO fertiliser spreader. The one you're looking at here is the half ton, but you can get them in a 350 kg or a 175 kg. So they're coming all the way from New Zealand. We were sold out of these, well the whole country was sold out of these since about March or April of last year. Just with ground being so soft, lads couldn't get in with the big tractors, and like a quad is weighing about 300 kg. They're very light and they're easy towed. So they're ground driven, you just have your shaft coming off the wheel with your gearbox. With the stainless steel spinner. The frames are galvanised and they're also powder coated with paint. Flotation tyres, plastic hopper, there's actually a lid there for you, or a flexible cover for it. There's two types, you have your canvas flexible, or you have a hard solid lid. Yeah, so they're ground driven, they're coming from New Zealand. They'll do a spread width of about 35-40 foot, okay. An even spread.
So there's a shield on the front there as well to stop it hitting up into your quad, the fertiliser.
Yeah, I suppose with the fertiliser, the last thing you need is it hitting you or hitting the bike, because it's just a recipe for rust.
Yeah.
There's some, they're coming from New Zealand. There's cheaper brands out there. I don't know, are they salt spreaders converted or what they are, but they can tend to throw a lot of fertiliser onto the bike and just...
Yeah, they're putting it everywhere.
Yeah. Now I'm going to send you on a few pictures of a GFC have brought out their Mark II version of a half-ton spreader as well. They have a real nice spreader. Slightly different, I suppose. I forgot to mention here as well, just for working it, you have your lever there for engaging and disengaging the spinner.
Yeah.
And that then is for opening and closing your shutter. That's just for setting how much of an opening you want each time when you're opening it.
And then because that's ground driven, does it matter sort of what speed you'll be doing on the quad, or is that something that you just kind of have to fiddle around with to find out?
Yeah, no, the recommended there, it's recommended for 12 to 15 kilometres per hour.
And you were saying the JFC is slightly different there, is it?
The JFC have a different system, so they have like a cable coming up and you mount it on the rack. So it's just a little lever, it's a cable.
All of it saves you having looking back.
Or even if you have an RTV or a gator where you're inside in a cab, there's a good length of cable to the GFC one.
I suppose one thing as well that you can't really see on the camera here is how wide it is. So that's that's spreading that weight further along the ground, like, so it's not as bad on the ground.
Yeah, if you're on, there's a few small things there on the WALCO. So there's a good decent tyre on when you go for the 500 kg, a wider wheelbase. So I was mentioning there, the GSC is actually very similar in size, in terms of wheelbase as well. There's another brand coming from New Zealand, Atchison. They're kind of like a limey green colour, yeah, with the galvanised frame.
Yeah.
Slightly different for, say, when you're getting to your headlands, you have to push and you have to pull back.
Yeah.
Maybe a small bit awkward, but they're a good spreader as well. Same gearbox as an Atchison.
Yeah.
And that actual gearbox is what's in the 350 kg as well. So
you're saying that these are in stock, but they have a tendency to fly out the door very rapid.
If it was something like last year, they were a very popular seller.
So if you are interested in this, give Kevin an old there ring in Lambert's, because these could be gone. So then this is just your cover that goes on top. Basically she just latches in here on some adjustable strings, and that saves your muck going in and any water going in on top of the fertiliser. So then this is your operator's manual, or as they call it, the Bible. So then this gives you your rates then. So
yeah, that's the most important page.
Yeah, so basically when we're going out with this now and I'm putting out my fertiliser, this is the page we're going to be referring to. So this gives you your speed and your opening widths as well. So for me, and the reason why in my situation I'd be looking at one of these fertiliser spreaders is because with the tractor driven ones with a PTO shaft, you have to hook on your PTO. By the time you get out, you've wasted half an hour or whatever. Whereas this, hook on, hook off, and I can follow the cattle in behind and give it a top dress and fertiliser as soon as they're out grazed. Kevin has just tipped off there, so if you're interested in any of them spreaders, get in touch with them. I will be doing a full review on that in the next couple of weeks, just obviously when we put out the bit of fertiliser. But for now, what I'm going to do is we're going to head back to the house. I'm going to open up the computer and I'm going to show you the problems that I have with soil fertility on the farm, what's good, what's bad, and how we plan on rectifying it this year, because it is something that I want to address. Okay, so we're back here at the computer now, so we're going to talk through the soil sample results that I've done this year. So we're going to have a look at what they call a nutrient management plan. So the first thing here you can see on the screen is that the whole farm that I've rented, this is where I cut my silage, this is where the forward field is in this kind of triangular plot here, and then this section here is the bit that I'm renting. So that just gives you an outlay of where everything was soil sampled. So if we go to the actual report itself, basically you get basically a few sheets or whatever with your results, but the main one is the cover letter and your map. So basically up here it has my info, then it has basically gives you your acreage here in hectares. So the bits that were sampled is 28 hectares. Gives you your current year's nitrates basically. So as you can see there, I'm actually skirting with derogation here at the minute. So that's because I cattle all year last year, whereas this year now I have a couple of months, but it's done on your previous years, so you just have to be careful with that. And then the things that we're going to take a look at now is the lime levels, which is your pH, phosphorus levels and potassium. So in this next section here, as you can see here, basically this is giving you an indication of how much of the farm basically is, everything is right. And as you can see, a lot of that is in the red, so that's something that we have to work on. So down here it says how many hectares are basically in your 6.2 pH of 6.2, your P and K indexes are 3 and 4. So basically only 2% of the farm is in index 3 or 4. So to give you an idea of the indexes here, just down here you see they go from 1 to 4, 1 being bad, 2 being low, 3 okay or good, and 4 being very good. Some advantages and disadvantages of being in each index, which we'll get to, but basically the big thing here is that basically none of the farm is okay for pH, P's and K's. So it's something that we have to work on. So going to the next section here, which is the lime. So basically you're aiming for a pH there of 6.2. This is giving you the best sort of growth rates and the best performance basically out of your soil. So you want your grasslands to be about 6.2. As you can see here then in the pie chart and down here, 79% of the farm is in 3 and 4, which is very good, and 21% then is okay. So if we go to here, we can go down to our lime, and basically you can see there that our own land here that we've been working on is perfect, is in 3s and 4s, and there's this plot of the rented ground then that needs liming. Basically lime around here isn't a big issue because it's something that I do every year, but it's these other things that I have neglected that we're going to have to concentrate on. So the next one up is P's, which is phosphorus. So as you can see here, different story. 98% of the farm is bad for P's and 2% is good. The 2% is around the edges where you have forestry, where leaves and things like that are constantly falling on it, or paddocks around the yard that you'd be putting out your dung onto. So 98% of the farm is bad for P's. Phosphorus is basically an essential component in the structure and growth of grass. It also has a knock-on effect on protein. Phosphorus is used in protein development of the plant. So my silage and grass is down on protein. So I putting 2 to 2 together and probably not being right, but I think that P is one of the issues there with my proteins levels in the grass. Potassium then K, similar sort of levels. 7% is very good, 28% is good, 6% is okay. So K can be easily rectified. K kind of gets recycled pretty much. phosphorus, 6% of it on grazing ground is when it goes through the animals put back out, but where I am losing it is on cutting silage. I am putting it back into the ground. So as we go down here, then it gives you your lime levels then. So basically for 2025 now coming up, I have to spread 23 tonnes. That's on that blue section in the last map. So if we go back here to the maps, you'd see the P here. So where the lime levels are all green and blue, and that will turn green this year, and these lighter shades will get just a top up. If we go to our P map, which is here, as you can see, this bit in the middle wasn't sampled, but you can see here that it's in level 1, so it is awful bad. There's no point me going into a reseeding mode if I don't get the P's right and the K's. Now there is trace elements as well, the likes of boron, things like that, but for grazing ground you don't really have to worry about that. That's more in your crops. So going down here then at the very bottom then of your nutrient management plan, it will give you planned fertilizer, recommended fertilizers. So my advisor there, which is my father, he soil sampled the place, but his recommendations are 18-6-12 and urea. Now I've gone back to him since I've got this, and I'm not putting out urea. I find urea to be very hard to get right. You have to have right temperatures in the soil, right moisture levels. I just find it a bit finicky. I've used it before trying to save money and it just didn't work for me. So what I'm going to go with instead of this is, I've talked to him since, and what I'm going for is 16% superphosphate, which should try and bring up so that about 50 or 60 kilos to the acre over the next 2 or 3 years, try and bring up my P levels that way. And then we will go with something like pasture sward or 18-6-12 then throughout the year. But really I'm going to go with that 16% superphosphate instead. As well as that then, actually having low P's, even though it's bad as in grass growth and things like that, it allows me there to import slurry, which I've been doing over the last couple of years, but it's at such a level now where I'm going to have to go and hit it hard with some chemical fertilizers and build up the P's in the ground, especially in the areas that I want to reseed. Otherwise I'm just wasting my money. Potassium and phosphorus are essential in early grass growth, and if I'm going reseeding and don't do that, then I'm going to be in trouble. I'm going to be wasting my money. Lime, again, like I said, all this will be green next year. It's only really top ups areas, and then hopefully then with the phosphorus and the lime and K's being a bit better, this should change to maybe 50% optimum. So this is a bit of a stark reading here. So this is the percentage reduction in farm capacity to perform based on fertility levels compared to optimum fertility. So at the minute I am down 27% of my performance that I could be getting because the pH, P and K isn't exactly right. So it's 2% down on optimum levels, negligible. That'll be, like I said, that'll be sorted this year. 21% P, that's 1/5 on my performance loss just because of P, and then K is 9%, again a top up at the end of the year, and we'll sort that out. So this is sort of what I'm facing into this year. So basically what I'll be trying to do is to turn this at least blue or light green this year. So we'll do a follow-up over the year this, but that's why this fertilizer spreader is in need of coming here, because I want to turn that pink into something more along those lines. So thanks again everybody for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video and stay tuned to see how we tackle this. So thanks again and see you in the next one.